We need to have an American spring. You know, the Arab Spring, the nonviolent part of it, isn't finished yet. But we need to have an American spring, a kind of an American Tahrir Square.
Oh, I love Al Gore, don't you? I'm reading his book now, Our Choice, A Plan to Solve the Climate Crisis by Al Gore. And there, his current TV, absolutely one of my favorites. Al Gore, though, is helping bring about an American spring because he's selling out to an Arab language news channel you may have heard of. It's called Al-Jazeera. Now, it's interesting, Current TV, the news station that Gore helped found, far left, they employed Keith Olbermann, always a mistake. Just ask the people at Monday Night Football. Anyway, he founded Current TV, but he didn't really start a brand new channel. I've been following Current TV for years because it used to be known as News World International. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we gave birth to what will soon become Al Jazeera America. The Canadian people funded, through our tax dollars, CBC to start up a News World International, and then they sold it off. It changed hands a couple of times, still just running nothing but state broadcast material from CBC, and then it was sold to Al Gore. He, it was announced today, is selling out to Al Jazeera. Oh, this means wonderful things, including lots of Al Jazeera programming and less Al Gore programming in America. Here's a quote from the Wall Street Journal article on this. Al Jazeera doesn't plan to replace Current TV with its English language channel, the one that was headed up by former CBCers. Instead, it will create a new channel, Al Jazeera America, and will invest significantly in new programming. Here is why Al Gore and his business partners decided to sell to Al Jazeera. Joel Hyatt says, Al Jazeera was founded with the same goals we had for Current TV. Now, what's interesting in this is a side story in it. Glenn Beck, friend of this program, friend of this network, Glenn Beck and The Blaze tried to buy Current TV and gain access to the 60 million homes that Current TV has. But they were turned down because they weren't a fit. For more on this, let's go to one of the originals from theblaze.com, John Seidel. He is an editor with The Blaze. John, I don't know if were you in on the negotiations? Were you calling up Al Gore last summer and saying, Al, do I have a deal for you? Or when did you find out about this?
No, I was not. And, I'm on the news side of the organization, not on the business side. So, we do a good job of keeping, the news and the business side separate so we can do what we do and they can do what they do. So I actually didn't know about this until, the rest of the world knew about it. So,
well then let me ask you this reaction then, because you didn't know that your boss had sent people over to negotiate and say, hey, we're interested in buying. And I was chatting with Glenn on the radio this morning and hearing him talking about it. He said they were completely rebuffed when they approached you. Glenn Beck, oh, we're not selling to Glenn Beck. That was too radical, and they were told their values didn't align. How does it feel knowing that you and your colleagues are too radical, but Al Jazeera is in line with the values of the man who came very close to being your president?
Well, I would say it's actually it's pretty reassuring because the organization that they ended up going with, virulently anti-American. People have left that network because it's been so anti-American. So if that's the group that they want to align themselves with, and they rebuffed us because our values are not aligned, I would say I should probably order a little bit of a cake here and put a couple candles on it, and the Lord love that happened.
It's absolutely bizarre that they would come to that. Now, I'm watching the other networks, including CNN, who we also partner with here at Sun News, and the American networks are covering this, and they're going, oh, look, he wouldn't sell to Glenn Beck, but they're not looking at the whole values thing. And that's what I find bizarre, is that Al Gore is saying, we're on side with people that gave voice to Osama bin Laden. When the rest of the world was hunting them, they're out interviewing them. When he wanted to get the word out on anything, he gave them a tape and they'd broadcast it in full. When they want to, well, not when they want to, they just regularly broadcast anti-Western, anti-American, anti-Semitic messages. These are the people that Al Gore shares values with. I am shocked that that's not getting more play.
Yeah, and how about the irony here that Al Gore, kind of this champion of environmentalism and global warming, and coming against those evil oil companies, sells to a network that is run by oil billionaires, right? I mean, these are people who get their money from apparently this evil resource that's in the ground.
Yeah, but because this is owned by the government of Qatar, right? Which is an oil kingdom.
Right. Exactly. And so, you and I were kind of joking off about, looking at the stocks and the oil prices in Qatar, man. I tell you what, if you are one of those evil oil people, really, it's got to make you smile.
One of the things that struck me about this, and I was saying this to Glenn on the radio this morning, is that it is kind of a completion of the circle, because Current started out as a state broadcaster of Canada, being broadcast into the United States. Now it's going to essentially be a state broadcaster of Qatar, broadcast into the United States. In between, they were Current. I don't think they've changed their worldview at all. They're far left. They are anti-American, they are anti-Western, they are anti-Israel. And the fellow that headed up Al Jazeera English when it launched used to head up CBC, a guy named Tony Berman. He took a bunch of CBCers with him to Al Jazeera, so I wouldn't be surprised that some of those faces start showing up, broadcasting the same anti-American garbage into your country that they were broadcasting when they were being paid for by the taxpayers of Canada.
And, Brian, we have a story coming out on theblaze.com that is, detailing one of the most popular personalities on Al Jazeera. Is a guy named, I'll just say Youssef, because, it's a kind of a Al something or other, which, by the way, isn't that kind of ironic? Al Jazeera, Al Gore, a lot of these people are,
I do
Youssef,
love it.
Al something.
Okay, so Youssef.
But we have a story coming up on Youssef, who's one of the most popular, if not the most popular person with a show on Al Jazeera, that regularly denies the Holocaust, anti-Semitic, anti-American, and this is, where what we think. I mean, we'll see. What we think, though, will be broadcast on this channel. Now, kudos, however, to Time Warner Cable. Time Warner Cable is one of the large cable providers here in the United States. And they, as soon as word broke, they dropped Current TV from the network. Now, I say kudos to them, because anyone that's looking at this, even just from a business perspective, has to say, well, Al Jazeera, if you've been following Al Jazeera for a while, which I know you have, Brian, has been trying to figure out how to get into the U.S. market more for a while, right? There's been stories, for years about Al Jazeera trying to figure out how to do this. And so this is one of the ways that they kind of tried to figure to end around the system. Well, Time Warner Cable said, no, we're not going to fall for this, and dropped them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kudos to them. You're absolutely right. John Seidel, good talking to you from theblaze.com, and I encourage everyone, go and check out that story John was talking about the crazy people that are at Al Jazeera, now partners with Al Gore. More to come.